here we are, home stretch, getting down there. I guess, how are you feeling?
Pretty mixed. It's been a great career, but it's time to go. And it's all I've known pretty much my entire adult life.
And many have known Ben Wolfinger during a career in law enforcement that spanned close to 4 decades. And nearly 8 of those years have been as the Kootenai County Sheriff. Wolfinger has seen the once small county grow before his eyes and has handled crime, a rising jail population, and then some unanticipated struggles.
Pandemic was not on my radar, and that was a bit of a challenge.
Wolfinger's story starts to the east of Coeur d'Alene, actually, in neighboring Shoshone County. The son of a silver miner and an auto parts employee, Wolfinger graduated from Wallace High School before deciding to pursue a career in law enforcement. It was on April Fool's Day in 1983 when he first started working as a detention deputy in Kootenai County's then condemned jail.
I was told I was too small. They didn't think I'd make it here, but I guess I fooled them because here I am, almost 38 years later. So,
just 14 months after that first gig in the jail, Wolfinger would move to the streets as a patrol deputy. He'd then start making his way up the ranks, eventually being named a captain over a decade later. And as a public information officer for the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office, Ben was no stranger to families watching the local news.
I mean, if you drink too much and you hand the keys to the guy that's sitting next to you that's drank too much, you're a party to the crime.
Wolfinger has done TV interviews before, you can bet. And like many of his colleagues, Wolfinger has worked various cases over the years, ranging from robberies to murders. Ben was working for the Sheriff's Office as the Aryan Nation saga played out. But there's one case in particular that, for a sadly unsurprising reason, won't be forgotten by Wolfinger.
I mean, obviously, probably the most infamous would be the Kootenai case with Joseph Duncan.
It was in 2005 when Duncan, a convicted sex offender, murdered members of a Kootenai County family and kidnapped 2 of their children. The story, which captured international attention, spawned a massive weeks-long search.
It was so intense during the time that you just did what you had to do every day. Yeah, I mean, days were 16, 18 plus hours every day for 6 weeks.
The Sheriff's Office received over 2,200 tips during the case. Wolfinger would handle news interviews, providing updates to people across the world wondering what had happened.
We really have 2 goals here. First is to find those children and ensure their welfare.
I heard from people in England that they saw me on their local telly.
But Ben made it clear he wasn't after any recognition then. That's not what it was about. It was his job to get the public's help in finding the children Duncan kidnapped. While the case marks an unfortunate memory, there are other moments that Wolfinger says he'll always think of. An unforgettable instance happened during an average day at the Sheriff's Office years ago. A man who had showed up to serve jail time recognized Wolfinger.
The guy stopped me and he says, "You're Deputy Wolfinger, right?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "You arrested me a couple months ago." And I said, "Okay." And he goes, "You've changed my life. You saved my life." And he goes, "I've quit drinking. You arrest me for DUI, but I'm done with it. And you've really saved my life." And I thought, that stuck with me all those years.
Deputies have positive outcomes with people every day, Wolfinger says. They might be moments you won't always hear of. But thousands of hours, cases, and meetings later, Wolfinger says he's ready to turn in his badge. His law enforcement career has been a long one.
What are you going to miss the most?
I'll miss the people here. Yeah, I won't miss the middle of the night phone calls. I won't miss the arguing with commissioners for budgets. I won't miss the politics of the office. I will miss the people, and I will miss that being part of something that's doing something good in the community.
It's the politics side that Wolfinger seemed to mostly stay out of during his time as sheriff, too. Across the inland Northwest, and the country for that matter, some sheriffs are no stranger to vocalizing their views or causing controversies. Wolfinger, it appears, mostly stayed away from it all.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I think I'm the sheriff for everybody. The duties of the sheriff, according to the state constitution, are spelled out in statute. And that means the legislature tells the sheriff what he's supposed to do. And it's not my personal opinion. My job here is to follow the law.
Voters have chosen fellow Republican Bob Norris to follow in Wolfinger's steps. Norris himself is a former law enforcement officer from the Los Angeles area. Wolfinger says the two have had a lot of conversations about the transition. Ben's advice to his successor?
Rely on the experience of those still here in the office. For Bob coming from the outside, I think that's important. There's years and decades of experience here.
And those decades have certainly seen a lot of change. Nationally, Wolfinger notes changing attitudes towards law enforcement and fewer people who want to join their ranks. But in North Idaho, this sheriff says his team has incredible support from the public.
We're good servants, and the people support us for that. And I think it's a mutual relationship there that works out real well.
But as far as change goes, Wolfinger has seen Kootenai County's population nearly triple. Wooded areas and prairies are now home to new houses and subdivisions. Wolfinger says he worries about rising housing costs and job prospects for those flocking to the county. But he says that growth, when properly managed, mind you, can be a good thing. The county's healthcare system is better than ever, and Wolfinger says he's excited to see some diversity in the county. And it's those who call North Idaho home who have made his job worthwhile, this sheriff says. It's a community that he won't be forgetting anytime soon.
As you move on, what would be the one message, or at least a message or two, you really want to share with the people of Kootenai County?
It's been an honor and a pleasure to be here. I truly mean that. The community here has been awesome, and it's really been my privilege to serve them.
Wolfinger's last day on the job is New Year's Eve. He plans to watch football on the first day of his retirement and hopes to travel with his wife this spring. In Kootenai County, Taylor Vido, KREM 2 News.